1, 2, 3.
The death of Gil Scott Heron in a New York City hospital on May 27th has prompted a week of remembrance. It was his commitment to political and social issues that made Scott Heron most relevant to California-based hip-hop historian and radio host Davey D.
Gil Scott was about community, and he was about people, and he had a love for justice, and he had a love for people that were going through hardships and oppression.
Mixing elements of blues and jazz, Scott Heron's performance poetry influenced a generation of African-American musicians who would later go on to pioneer rap and hip-hop.
When we were coming up, and I go back to the 70s, it was not unusual to hear angel dust being played at some of those early parties. People old enough will remember. It wasn't unusual to hear the revolution will not be televised.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised.
Though most well-known for The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, Scott Heron released dozens of albums that experimented with musical forms and styles.
For other artists, especially within hip-hop, to know that eventually, after they got tired of just doing two turntables and a mic, that they could actually get a band. That, you know, instead of maybe just rapping, they could actually maybe do spoken word or even sing.
Often candid about his struggles with drug addiction, Scott Heron's biting social commentary around issues like poverty and race are cited as an influence to hip-hop stars like Common, who was recently the subject of right-wing criticism for performing poetry at the White House. It was the type of controversy that Scott Heron would have confronted head-on, says Davey D.
Gil went after Richard Nixon early on. He told Reagan, mandate my ass and let him have it twice. And I think, you know, in the age of Obama, where Kanye West is apologizing to George Bush, and Common is sitting in the White House just kind of saying politics is politics. I don't see Gil Scott Heron doing that. I think he would have laid down something very profound, and his audience would not have been the president, but the people.
Gil Scott was 62 years old. His latest record, I'm New Here, was released last year by XL Recordings.